One thing I was struck by when I watched Rationality Rules and his coverage of the debate at Stanford of Charlie Kirk's debate performance, and that I noticed in all of it was that for one thing, that really got me about what he said was that there is very little evidence that he was. I mean, if you watch it, you'll see that he cites a bunch of things that are supposedly statistics about women and them being supposedly more miserable now than they were 50 70 years ago, and everything. And, Millie, in her response, basically says that this is not an issue of an increase, but just visibility. I mean, in the past, we'd lobotomize them and, send them off to a mental institution and remove them from public visibility if they didn't conform to the script, so to speak. And now, women are allowed to complain if they're miserable and everything, which was a fairly decent point, in response. But he would cite all these stats and everything about how they were supposed to be going backwards, and it was like there's no, like, first of all, if Charlie Kirk believes something to be a fact, I don't necessarily have to believe that is the case myself. I mean, I need some fact checkers to actually verify that those facts are the case. But incidentally, on from that, it's as though much of what Charlie Cook says is that it's almost as if he's never implied the saying that correlation does not imply causation. In all of this, he takes all of these, findings that we've got no independent corroboration at all happen to be the case about what's happening to women in the debate. We don't have any fact checkers to make damn certain that the things that he's saying that women are supposedly going through, or they're actually going through, instead of just Charlie Kirk claiming they are, to make damn certain he's right about his facts. But even if he was, there was this tendency to try to pin it all on feminism, to say that it was feminism's fault, that women were, all these problems that they were now facing were now basically attributable to feminism. And it got me, as I was watching it, that Millie was subtly pointing out, the fact that, there are all these data points, and yet they could be caused by something completely other than feminism, which got me to, my own interjection, which was ultimately correlation does not imply causation. And so it's like it doesn't matter what you're able to dig up about women supposedly becoming more miserable than they used to be. Even if that were true, and it's not, they're just more visible now. But even if it were true, and subtly from that, correlation does not imply causation. So, yes, feminism has become a greater force in our society, but that does not mean that feminism is necessarily the cause of women's problems. I mean, and the thing is that she revealed quite nakedly that this was a tactic of his. He would rapid fire a bunch of facts and everything about the supposed suffering of X group, and then he'd attribute it to something that didn't necessarily have anything to do with why they were suffering at all, or being able to be, to attribute to it. And it got me, like, why do people think this guy is great at debate? Why do people think he's so fucking good at it? He wasn't. And that's what killed me about it, and frustration was just that, I get all of these people who think he was such a master at his class and everything, and meanwhile, he was just a hateful piece of shit who advocated a lot of misogynistic crap and everything, and racist crap, and and he got away with it. He got away with thinking that way in that manner, and nobody called him on his shit, and everybody treated him like he came in second place at the Special Olympics. Like, it was bullshit. He wasn't that great at debating in the first place. I mean, if he was, he would know this stuff. He would, why is it that we have to educate? Why is it that we have to point out that you may be able to, because otherwise, you're able to show, for instance, that, as the planet has warmed up, that the number of pirates have gone down around the world. So, of course, the fall in pirates is the cause of global warming. To solve it, we just need more pirates. and by this I'm not talking about copyright infringers. I'm talking about the ship raiders and everything. I mean, it's the people that raid ships and at the high sea. You know, like, what the fuck? Why does nobody understand this? You know, the whole thing. He wasn't good at it. He wasn't good at this because it doesn't matter. Like, if women are more miserable now than they were in 1950, that does not matter. You know, because even if that were the case, which it's not, you know, you still wouldn't be able to point to this feminism as the cause. You know, it would be kind of silly to think that it was. And yet, you know, here we are with this idiot getting way too much credit for supposedly being good at debate when he can't even grasp the most simple of things like that.